Chapter 001 The afterglow on the horizon has not yet completely finished. The iron curtain covering the city has gradually risen from the outer wall. The street lights on the side of the street light up one by one. Although the light is weak, it can illuminate the road anyway. Chen Mo was walking on the way from school, looking up at the gap between the iron curtain and the last setting sun in his heart full of hope. He lowered his head and silently counted every step he had taken. The step distance of each step is exceptionally standard, and the speed is also exceptionally not bad on average in milliseconds. 1460, 1490, 1510. The moment Chen Mo silently counted 1,510 steps in his heart, he suddenly exploded and trod a few steps forward with all his strength. Boom! Chen Mo heard the sound of smashing flower pots and the exclamation of a few pedestrians on the side of the road. Chen Mo didn't look back. It seemed that it was not him who was almost killed by the flower pot. Because as early as 18 hours, 52 minutes and 21 seconds ago, he knew in advance that this flower pot would fall from here. And he also knew that he would die here. He also knows that if he does not pass here today, does not accelerate from slow walking to a sprint at step 1511, and does not happen to avoid this flower pot in that second, then he will definitely encounter unpredictable more trouble today. Danger. Such an accidental murder, he has experienced 100,000 times in these years. At least once a day, if he tries to escape, it is not uncommon for him to be twice a day, 3 times or even more. It's okay now, he is used to all kinds of dangers. As long as he is prepared, he will pass by death more than 60 times a day at most. Except for one of which was inevitable, he did the rest deliberately. Because he is a traverser from the lost era 30,000 years ago. There were no lightning strikes and no car accidents. He went through after waking up. The body is still his body, but the age has been reduced to 6 years old. He also knows the reason for the crossing, and at the same time, it is also the root of the danger that makes him encounter once a day. Back to the resettlement room, Chen Mo put down his backpack and opened the refrigerator. Looking at the few ingredients, Chen Mo felt ashamed of the traveler. It's been 10 years since crossing, and his physical age has grown to 16 years old, but he still has no financial freedom and no girlfriend. Compared with those who have made billions of fortunes at a young age, he feels very ashamed. But there is no way, the world after 30,000 years is the future world. Not to mention the top-level technology system, even the bottom-level technology system has surpassed his time span for decades. This is a very abnormal future world. The human beings in the survival base can't even guarantee electricity, and the technology system they are exposed to is at most decades more advanced than before, but the technology outside the survival base is powerful and advanced and terrifying. The gap between decades and 30,000 years, people who don't know thought he was confused. Of course not. There will be such a difference. The reason is that the world after 30,000 years is no longer what it used to be. Scientists in the lost era such as Newton had their coffin boards overturned. The technological system of that era can only survive effective within the base. For example, electricity can drive various machinery inside the survival base. But the electricity left the survival base, and even a small light bulb could not light up. Is there electricity outside the survival base? Yes, and many. There are lightning elements, magical charges, Chinook charges, and many other kinds of electricity. Is just a wall between inside and outside, why is there such a huge gap? The reason is that the environment in the survival base is artificially modified by humans imitating the lost era of 30,000 years ago. The world outside the city is the true face of the new world. The survival base, as its name implies, is a base for the production of various survival materials. Although the effects of power such as Chinook charge are far superior to ordinary electricity also has a huge advantage. That is cheap enough to produce low-end materials. I used all the ingredients to prepare a sumptuous dinner, while leaving a luxurious bento for tomorrow morning. Satiated and drunk, Chen Mo sat on the sofa and closed his eyes. The moment he closed his eyes, his consciousness entered a dark and emptiness. Deep in the space, there is a book with only the cover intact. There is a closed eye on the cover of this book, and only one page of the book is almost intact. He first discovered this book 10 years ago, and the only page on the cover was also full of cracks. Until now, it is still full of cracks. This broken book, its last owner was the god of destiny from another world. 30,000 years ago, the blue star, where he was in his previous life, had an aura of rejuvenation. This is a good thing. Human beings have changed from a pure technological civilization to a combination of technological civilization and spiritual civilization. But there is another world war that accompanies the recovery of aura. Aura does not appear out of thin air, but flows into blue star from another world. Blue star is like a greedy predator, plundering energy continuously from another world. The blue star began to grow, from a small break to getting bigger and bigger. Where there is plunder, there is resistance. The powerful existence of another world can't help the blue star that undergoes weird changes, but they can deal with the humans above the blue star, and as long as the humans are solved, they can occupy a brand new blue star. The war broke out, and various powerful existences such as transcendents, gods, and demons from another world rushed into blue star. The only thing human beings rely on is that the existence of another world will be suppressed when entering the blue star. The outcome of the war later is unknown, and whoever wins and who loses is not known. The only thing that modern mankind knows about the Lost Age, other than the cause and result of war, is a mobile phone handed down from the Lost Age, which contains a large number of travel photos of the Lost Age and a complete set of encyclopedias. The original scientific and technological system of modern mankind is based on the development of the Encyclopedia of the Lost Era. It was not until the world rules changed later that the technology system of the Lost Era was once abandoned. Finally, powerful human transcendents built a survival base to shield the world rules, and the technology of the Lost Era had the last bit of survival. Soil. Why did the Reiki recovery come from? This has always been a topic of modern historian research. No one knows the answer to this question better than Chen Mo. Because the source of the aura recovery is this book of destiny, the of destiny also fell. The of destiny was once the most powerful in another world. He controlled the fate of almost all living beings under the gods until one day he obtained the book of destiny. The book of destiny possesses extraordinary magical power and can control fate and control time. S control of destiny even surpasses that of the of destiny. Ambition was born from this. The god of destiny also tried to repair the book of destiny. Finally, he found that changing fate could restore the power of the book of destiny. He immediately began to disrupt the fate of all beings under the gods of different worlds. The of destiny, who is getting stronger and stronger, finally set his sights on the gods. It is a pity that the of fate overestimated himself and underestimated the gods, and the gods would never allow his own destiny to be controlled by him. The battle of the slaughter of the gods began. Even if the fate book was in hand, the of fate was still besieged by the gods. However, before his death, the god of destiny secretly sent away the book of destiny, and with the help of the book of destiny, he used his last strength to break through the cosmic barrier between another world and the universe where Blue Star is located, causing the two universes to have a destiny intersection on Blue Star. The Destiny Book of Destiny exhausted its power, with part of the godhead of the God of Destiny, trying to rebirth on the Blue Star. The chosen target is him, but it's a pity that the of fate underestimated the murderous intentions of the gods. The curse against the of fate, even if it crosses the universe, the last true spirit of the of fate has completely fallen, and the seizure failed. Instead, the spirit was swallowed by him, and he fell into a deep sleep for 30,000 years. Chapter 003 In Grade 3, 26 teenagers sat upright, without squinting. Often when the teacher does not come, the classroom is always noisy. But today, every young girl becomes a good baby the moment he enters the classroom. There was footsteps outside the door, and each ear suddenly stood up. Pang Dehai walked into the classroom with his head upright and his hands back. This is the time when he is most prestigious every year. As one of the few senior card students in the card student school, he is responsible for leading the best graduating class of the third year of high school every year. These little guys usually trouble him, and secretly give him the nickname of the Big C. Is he fat? This is obviously majestic and mighty. These little usually talk about him secretly, and today they are not going to be wagging their tails at him obediently. Stepped onto the podium, Pang Dehai stretched out and pulled up his left sleeve. There was a 3 cm wide metal wrist wheel on his left wrist, and immediately scorching eyes gathered on it. This small metal wrist wheel is the card student wrist wheel used to store cards and instantly activate cards. KATU wrist wheels are very expensive, and no one in this room can afford it. Don't look at this as the best class in the KATU school, but they are just an ordinary survival base. Those who are really rich and have status have already sent their children to outside cities to study in better schools. Staying in the number 1 middle school, the family conditions are either ordinary or simply orphans. Awakening at the age of 16, the lowest level card apprentice wrist wheel uniformly issued by the school is likely to accompany them for a lifetime. Pang Dehai looked at a pair of worshipping eyes with satisfaction, and used his mental power to activate the 1-star storage card in the card disciple's wrist wheel. A piece of light from the wrist wheel of the card envelopes the desk, and the light recedes and there are 26 wrist wheels of the card on the desk. Chen Mo, you can post it. Pang Dehai watched Chen Mo, who was sitting in the front row closest to the table, commanded. As the class leader, Chen Mo got up and handed the wrist wheel of the card to the long-awaited classmates one by one. Finally, he took his own wrist and put it on his left wrist. The moment he put it on, his wrist was pricked with a needle and a blood sample was collected. Afterwards, the card disco wrist wheel enters the standby state. Chen Mo, you organize your classmates to lead a team with me to the altar of awakening. Pang Dehai said, walking forward with the general's belly upright. The awakening altar is not on the surface, but deep underground in the first academy. This is the most strictly guarded place in the entire survival base, and its strictness is even higher than that of the city lord's mansion. Although I have seen the altar of awakening last night through the Book of Destiny, Chen Mo's eyes have turned into symbols of money. The whole body of the altar of awakening is made of high-purity energy crystals. The 5-meter diameter altar can be anything you want. Small pieces are enough for him to eat and drink for 10 years. There is a steel on the altar of awakening, and a golden card is vaguely visible in the translucent steel. The size of a palm, this is the awakening card that only appears in textbooks. There are more than 500 people in 9 classes in the number 1 middle school, and they have come one after another under the leadership of the head teacher of each class. Although there are many people, none of them dared to speak loudly. Squad leader, I'm a little nervous. Li Menqi, the deputy squad leader behind Chen Mo, gently tugged at the corner of his clothes. It's okay, I'm ahead of you. Chen Mo said helplessly. This man is handsome, but there is no way. In addition, he has good grades. In this first middle school, he can be said to be the tallest short man. Not only the teacher likes him, but even the precocious little girls in the school. Give him secretly. He is not wood, but he can't accept it at all. Let alone the legendary river crab, he has a lot of his own secrets, not to mention that he has to go out every night to play the death game he designed the day before, and there is no time to have a good campus memory with these little girls. Hearing Chen Mo's perfunctory, Li Menqi's eyes suddenly reddened and lowered her head. Chen Mo sighed in his heart, he already knew about this scene last night. It's just that this survival base is too small. After becoming a card apprentice, he cannot and will not stay here. He has been here for 10 years, and even a couple passing by in the past few years wanted to adopt him, but he flatly refused. Speaking of which, those couples were both card disciples and very rich. They regretted it for many days after they refused. But there is no way. If it were just an ordinary wealthy couple, he would definitely display all the 72 types of coquetry and cuteness he summarized for survival at the time. However, they were all card disciples, and they found that they were abnormal when they followed them. The odds are too high. Thinking wildly, Pang Dehai called out Chen Mo's name. Chen Mo recovered and immediately walked to the altar of awakening, reaching out and pressing on the monument according to the standard ritual in the textbook. The moment he pressed his hand on it, the awakening card in the monument condensed a projection into his forehead. At this moment, the pineal gland of the eyebrow was activated by the power of the awakening card to catalyze growth. It did not grow a third eye, but opened up a spiritual orifice in the center of his eyebrows. The spiritual power gathered by meditation for 6 years of hard work in junior high school and high school suddenly appeared. The spiritual mystery orifice compresses and grows. Grows to the limit, his spiritual consciousness breaks away from the spiritual mystery. Is rising in the void. I don't know how far the void has traveled and finally entered a world. There are countless cards suspended in this world, some of which are intact and some are tattered. Chen Mo suddenly realized that this is the legendary card world, the card world opened up by the strong human race. Every new card apprentice can get a card here to integrate into the spiritual mystery. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Will this A card is transformed into a unique talent card. The quality of the talent cards obtained in the card world: 3 points for luck, 3 points for aptitude, 4 points for financial strength. Ordinary people can only rely on luck. Carders with sufficient financial resources can take the treasures that strengthen their spiritual power in advance during the awakening process, and they can also sacrifice various precious resources at the awakening altar, so that a ray of spiritual consciousness can stay in the card world. Long time. If you stay for enough time, you can find more cards that fit your mental power and have more choices. There is a saying in the card apprentice system 30,000 years later. That is, there is no best, only the most suitable. The specific meaning of this sentence is that the talent cards that the card disciples get are not necessarily the more precious the better, but the more suitable they are, the better. I dare not say that this sentence is completely applicable, but it certainly applies to most situations. Chen Mo formed a phantom of spirit, closing his eyes at this moment and starting to burn his mental power. The whole person is like a luminous torch, and there are countless torches far away from him. These are the awakened card apprentices of this year. Numerous cards in the entire card world suddenly agitated at this moment. The resonance of power chooses its own master. Chen Mo already knew what kind of talent cards he could get. So when the card flew, he didn't even look at it and returned to the spiritual mystery with the card. The moment the card enters the spirit profound aperture, the materialized card begins to merge with the spirit profound aperture, and finally becomes a talent card suspended in the spirit profound aperture composed of spiritual power. This unique talent card not only consumes less time to use but also will continue to grow with their own strength. The most important thing is that you don't need to activate the card apprentice wrist wheel, and you can activate it with your thoughts. Chapter 005 in Number 1 Middle School, all the successfully awakened cards returned to the classroom under the leadership of the head teacher. Looking at the happy or depressed teenagers and girls, Dehai sighed and felt a little sad. Although these little guys usually caused him a lot of trouble, they still feel a little emotional when they get along for a year. In a few years, some familiar faces will never be seen. Everyone, be quiet. The huge C knocked on the table. With the majesty of being a class teacher for 1 year, he succeeded in quieting the noisy classroom. First of all, congratulations to you, after today you are leaving the first middle school. Dehai said gravely, I will not advise those who have chosen to become a card maker. If you have this talent, you will never die of starvation. If you choose to become a monster hunter, you must remember 3 things. The first thing is not to be greedy. The second thing is to be careful, and the third thing is to run away in danger. I have told you these more than once, but today I will repeat it for the last time. Little bastards, I hope to see you all participate in my 60th birthday in 10 years. After speaking the last sentence, Pang Dehai turned and left the classroom. After Pang Dehai left, the classroom suddenly became noisy. Some showed off their talent cards, some loudly said that they had already found a high-paying job at home, and some were already discussing with each other to form a team to become a monster hunter. Chen Mo did not participate, he chose to leave the classroom silently. These classmates of his still don't understand Pang Dehai's worries for them. Although Pang Dehai is a bit stricter, he is serious and responsible for his teaching work as a teacher. Otherwise, he would not lead the first 3 classes of each high school. Pang Dehai's final warning: the chances of surviving in the future that can be heard can increase a lot. Ordinary people in the survival base do the most ordinary work from 9 to 5 every day, with an ordinary salary sufficient to support the family, find a virtuous woman or marry a considerate man, so that they can live a life without worrying about food, clothing, housing, and life pressure. It was rare 30,000 years ago. But becoming a card apprentice, since then it is difficult to have such a warm life. When ordinary people work, the card disciples need to walk in the wilderness and live and die. When ordinary people gather together to watch TV at night and share the joys of family relationship, the card student still lives and fights in the wilderness. Although the card student will return to the city for repairs, which one is better than ordinary people's life? Can't tell. Chen Mo walked to the school gate and heard Li Menqi's trembling voice behind him. Chen Mo turned his head helplessly. If a girl with a good character like Li Menqi liked it 30,000 years ago, he would have been very happy, but now that he has decided to set foot on the heavens, he really does not want to leave a worry here. I'll wait for you for 20 years. Li Menqi trembled. 20 years from now, I will completely give up before you come back. Maybe you have forgotten that little girl who was lost on the street 10 years ago. You took me to find when I was most afraid and scared. Family. Chen Mo looked at Li Menqi, who turned and ran into the school, and finally remembered the little girl crying by the road 10 years ago. Women's 18th change, he once again saw Li Menqi, who had entered the first college at the age of 11. At that time, he had forgotten a little thing that he did when he first crossed. But he didn't expect that Li Menqi would remember it for 10 years. He wondered how Li Menqi would be dismissive of so many suitors in the school. How could he help him everywhere in the same class soon? He always thought that Li Menqi had some idiots to show him good only by looking at his face, but he didn't expect it to be because of the fate of one side 10 years ago. At this moment, he was really moved. Forcefully resisting the urge to catch up, Chen Mo turned around and ran all the way home. He didn't even know that Li Menqi had already turned around when he turned. Her delicate and beautiful face was full of sadness. Beside her, there appeared silently a woman who looked more than 24, but was full of mature air and looked gentle as water, gently hugging the crying Li Menqi and looking thoughtfully at Chen Mo, who was going away. Just 10 years ago, their family of 3 returned to the survival base from the city. Although their husband and wife are already very powerful card masters, they all came from this small survival base. Although it is small, it is the place where they grew up. They have many precious memories, and it is worth taking their daughter to come back and have a look. However, I did not expect that when I saw the rise of a young friend's chat, I forgot my daughter and let her play in the children's play area alone. Because of the staff's mistakes, she didn't watch her. When it was found that something was wrong, her daughter had disappeared. They searched like crazy, but soon their daughter took the initiative to find it back. But they still couldn't forgive themselves, because there might be too many accidents when the daughter ran and lost her track. Out of guilt for her daughter, when her daughter proposed to go to school at the survival base, she agreed without hesitation. A few years later, she finally knew the real reason why her daughter wanted to stay in the survival base. Out of gratitude, Yu read www.yuyugonshu.com, and the couple thought about adopting that child. However, Chen Mo refused. After that, she stayed at the survival base to take care of her daughter while observing the child secretly. As long as it was a good child, she did not oppose her daughter's choice. However, in this observation, she gradually discovered that it was a hidden lot. Secret child. In order to further observe, she has constantly changed her identity and secretly contacted her. At that time in the bookstore, she clearly saw the child's longing look when she was looking at an autobiographical novel called Void Wars. At that time, she knew that this child who had hidden many secrets would be in danger in the future. Of the heavens. Chen Mo is a good boy, but he is definitely not a good husband. She pulled up Li Menqi, a pure white door flew out of her eyebrow's spiritual profound orifice, opened the door and pulled Li Menqi into the door and disappeared. From beginning to end, none of the students passing by were aware of the two of them. Chen Mo returned to the rented cabin. He opened the door and looked at the cabin that he had lived in for 8 years. 8 years ago, he was only 8 years old. When he first crossed, he was only 6 years old and could not do anything. This hut was given to him by the kind-hearted couple who planned to adopt him in the past. After living for 8 years, he has carefully arranged every furnishings here. He will leave here in a few days at most. I don't know how much when I come back next time. Years later. Of course, there will be reluctance in his heart, but I only hope to come back many years later. The hut is still there. Turning on the computer, Chen Mo bought some things online. Finally raised the left wrist. After awakening, the mental power that can be released is injected into the card apprentice's wrist wheel. After the spirit is bound, he immediately perceives the 9 blank card slots in the card apprentice's wrist wheel. There are now 4 slots. Among them is a white 1-star card presented by the school. Chapter 006 Chen Mo locked his mental power, and immediately read the card attributes of 4 white 1-star cards. Energy card, white 1-star. The 4 cards are only the lowest level white 1-star cards, but they are very practical for a novice card apprentice. He needs to use these cards and the power of the destiny book to pay off debts in the shortest time and earn enough shuttle ticket money for big cities. If he gets other purple cards, he can actually report to the city lord and directly cancel the debt. The survival base will send him to the big city and arrange for him to participate in the special recruitment examination there. But the card with the trait of Goblin Merchant is too rare. This is not the kind of talent card that can only work on oneself, but a super rare card that can make people want to imprison him as a tool man. Close the card disciple wrist wheel, and Chen Mo concentrates his mental power on the talent card of the spiritual mysterious aperture. Mental power directly draws a point to inject the talent card, and the talent card immediately generates a projection that leaves the spiritual mystery orifice and appears on the tip of Chen Mo's right finger. Then under his control, it turns into a ball of light and shadow and falls on the ground. The light and shadow manifested, forming a short green-skin goblin. Physique, 9.9. What a high attribute! Chen Mo rubbed his chin and exclaimed. Whether it is mental or physical, this goblin merchant has reached the limit attribute of a 1-star card apprentice. Even possesses the supernatural energy of magic power and the golden talent for void perception. Unfortunately, the void gate, which was born because of void perception, is currently in a sealed state, because his master's current mental power is not enough to activate the void gate. To activate the void gate normally, Chen Mo estimated that he would have to wait for him to become a card master. If it is activated abnormally, it needs to use precious resources containing space power. He couldn't meet neither of these 2 conditions, so the most useful ones are Void Walk and 2 blue 1-star skills. Void Walking is a very famous skill. After activation, it can walk in the void between voids, can be invisible and penetrate objects. Activating Void Walk at critical moments can not only avoid many dangerous environments, but also escape survival. Your name? Chen Mo looked at the goblin merchant and asked. Master, my name was Lupi when I was alive. The goblin merchant replied respectfully. During death? What do you mean? Chen Mo was surprised. I was born in Danur continent and was found to have a talent for void perception since I was a child. Green Pie calmly talked about his origin. It was a tragic war story. The continent of Danur where green leather is located was occupied by the humans in the card world. Green leather was also captured by an unusually powerful card maker. After being made into a card, he was thrown into it because of disgust. The card world. Dislike it. Chen Mo looked at the two blue 1-star skills. These two skills are enough to make any 1-star card apprentice covet, but if the card maker who made this special card is a big one he can't imagine now, these two are just blue skills may be really worse. Because according to common sense, goblin merchant skills with purple 1-star qualifications should all be purple. Both of Greenskin's skills are only blue, indicating that his talent in this area is not excellent among similar goblin merchants. But it is precisely because of this that the green leather will be thrown into the card world. It is even possible that green leather is the only goblin merchant card in the card world. Otherwise, if there is a better one, he has used his destiny to modify his destiny and there is no reason why he can't get it. According to Greenskin, the card of the goblin merchant requires a living goblin merchant to be sealed and made into a card. Although the heavens and worlds are extremely large, the number of goblin merchants in each world is definitely not much. He used to think that the goblin merchant card was made by card makers with the help of materials, but it was rare to make it difficult. Now it seems that this perception is wrong. The goblin merchant card is probably better than what he learned from the book. To be more rare and precious. Gilyalu. Chen Mo touched his stomach. He had eaten in the morning and has not eaten anything in the afternoon. He decisively picked up the phone and ordered a luxury takeaway. Although he was not very wealthy over the years, he was not very wealthy. However, from today onwards, he will live a luxury takeaway and only buy 2 servings at a time and only choose what he likes. Good life. The takeaway was delivered quickly, and Chen Mo delivered it by express delivery in the same city halfway through the meal. The things he buys are messy, and he buys them in many shops, all of which are the basic materials that he learned from the book about engineering and alchemy, but I don't know that green leather can use these materials to bring him. What surprises come! Opening the express, green leather began to choose the basic materials he could use. Chen Mo looked at it for a while but couldn't understand it, closed his eyes and entered the Book of Destiny. Because of the activation of the first drop of Destiny supernatural power, and because of the improvement of his own strength, he became a 1-star card disciple. The Book of Destiny has seen his future range increased. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. He can already see his own radius of 15 meters. What happens within the next 24 hours? As for modifying his own destiny, he has no way to obtain fate points by modifying his own destiny. Because from the moment he became a card apprentice, he has been completely recognized by the card world 30,000 years later, and his destiny trajectory that should not have existed in the world 30,000 years ago has been completely obscured by the Book of Destiny. Destiny, how do I get destiny points now? Chen Mo asked. There are 3 feasible ways. Destiny replied, by defeating or hunting the life body, it is enough to intercept the fate of the target life body to form destiny points. Through belief, it can be transformed into destiny points, and the scope of belief includes worship and disgust. It can be directly transformed into destiny through world power. Supernatural power. There are 3 ways, the fastest way to get destiny points is the first one. Chen Mo judged it instantly. The first kind is the main one, the second kind is a supplement, and the third kind is cool and staying. World source power, that is the source energy that can only be obtained from the world of the heavens by fighting the heavens. The reason why the survival base can reproduce the civilization of 30,000 years ago is because the strong human race uses the world's source power to establish its own world rules inside the survival base. This kind of human race's top resources is not at all accessible to him. Chen Mo continued to check the final changes in the Book of Destiny, and his current reversal time per day has increased to 10 seconds. The original 1 second is still enough in the city. After all, the dangers in the city are within the range of ordinary people. Is now increased to 10 seconds a day. If you accumulate 3 days, it will be 30 seconds. Even if he encounters danger outside the city, he can use the 30-second reversal time to have a chance to escape and defeat the enemy. Chapter 007 Destiny. How many destiny points do I have now? Chen Mo asked after checking the changes in the Book of Destiny. 1051 points in total. Destiny replied. Why are there so many? Chen Mo said in shock. Destiny Points Collection Channel 2, he can collect destiny points through faith, and the range also includes worship and disgust. He still has a few fans in the first middle school, because he is liked by fans and hates him. But he never expected that there would be 1051 destiny points. Do you list the source of destiny points? Asked Fate. Of course. Chen Mo said affirmatively. Jealousy from Chen Fan, Fate point +1. Love from Li Xuet, Fate point +1. From Li Menqi's unswerving love, destiny points +1000. Chen Mo looked at the sources of destiny points, and probably knew the source of more specific increases in destiny points. Chen Fan knows that this person is jealous of him, but Chen Fan is not bad and has no malice towards him. Li Xuet is the same, she likes him very much, but if you want to say that you love him, it will be over. This level of likes and dislikes can only bring a minimum of fate points, and they can only be brought once a month, and their likes and dislikes for him gradually fade with the passage of time, and the final fate points provided are only will reduce or even disappear. There is another discovery at the end, because the people who hate and like to provide him with destiny points are all card disciples. If it is an ordinary person, a lot of people's likes and dislikes will increase a little bit of destiny points. Seeing the last source of destiny points, Chen Mo sighed quietly. Is exactly 1000 points, and it is estimated that Li Menqi may not change her heart for many years. Unswervingly until death, these 4 words are too heavy for him. But even if it is love that lasts until death, adding 1000 destiny points directly is too much? Chen Mo immediately asked about fate, and fate gave the answer after calculating. A lot of ordinary people can provide a little destiny point, and the card can provide a little. Then the more powerful existence should provide more destiny points. This powerful range includes their own strength, their own talents and aptitudes and their own possessions. Resources. Li Menqi's strength is definitely not good, and her talent is hard to say. As for resources, he really hasn't heard Li Menqi mention anything about her family. At school, I saw that she was wearing clothes at very ordinary prices. In this way, is Li Menqi's aptitude so good that she can directly provide 1000 destiny points, which has helped him a lot in the short term. Turning on the computer, Chen Mo began to search the map near the survival base. He often reads this thing. Today, I will look at it again to see if it has been updated. If a high-level monster appears near the survival base, it will directly cause the distribution of monsters outside the city to change a lot. It was 12 o'clock in the evening when Chen Mo lay down on time and entered the Book of Destiny. Like a revolving lantern, Chen Mo saw everything that happened around him the next day. The radius of the whole body is 15 meters, which is already a large range. He left the city at noon and was forced to come back in the evening. Did not encounter danger, but nothing happened in the afternoon. After thinking about it again and again, Chen Mo only tried to make the next modification. This time it was not a simple modification to himself, and the degree of modification was not a basic modification that did not consume destiny points like dropping the flower pot. It took him 200 destiny points to complete this modification. Chen Mo opened his eyes and looked at the busy green skin on the table next to him and turned on the computer. He saw that green leather had already used up all the basic materials at 3 o'clock in the evening. Unlike him, green leather does not need to rest at all. This is another advantage of talent cards. If it is an ordinary character card, to be realized for a long time, the card disciples need to use mental power to maintain. Greenskin doesn't need it, he can rest 24 hours a day. The most important thing is that Greenskin doesn't want a salary. This is good, no wonder the character card is a dream card that carders dream of. Reordered some things, called and paid a little extra for late night delivery. These should be enough for the Greenskin to be busy until tomorrow morning. He wanted to buy more materials, but he didn't have enough money and he didn't have enough energy. After finally waiting for the express delivery, Chen Mo immediately opened the package and threw it to Lupi. Yawned and covered the quilt, Chen Mo found the most comfortable position and had a dream. Greenskin looked at the pile of materials in front of him, and then at Chen Mo, who was sleeping next to him, suddenly felt that his goblin was in darkness. He was not a hard-working goblin, okay? He didn't like engineering. When he was alive, he had no love for engineering, but after he died he would stay up late and work overtime for the human being he hated the most. The most important thing is that he knows that he has no overtime pay when he looks at the pain when he pays. Farewell, my beloved money. I don't know how long I have been busy, it was already light when Greenskin put down the last goblin mine. His unfamiliar master has already beamed his eyes to check the results of his busy night. I made a fortune. Chen Mo looked at the neat rows of engineering props and wiped the saliva from the corners of his mouth. You reading www.yunsha.com. Goblin Mines. Bronze Grenade. Jet Backpack. For the sake of your hard night, I don't care about your evaluation. Chen Mo wiped his saliva and nodded in satisfaction. Even if the Goblin Mines and Bronze Grenade are only white 1-star, but if the front is not protected, it is enough to cause serious damage to the white 1-star monsters, but it is a pity that he provides 3 inferior materials, even if it is a blue 1-star. The engineering can only produce white 1-star props. If the Goblin Greenskin was alive, he would not be able to use those inferior materials to make these. Because of true Goblin engineering, all you need are specially refined engineering materials. For engineering, he has specifically checked the information. Goblin merchants and Goblin craftsmen, such as humanoid cards mastering engineering, will instill all materials from the human side into the cards by the way. Among them, there are countless different civilizations and different materials. The nature and alternative suggestions. Without these, the value of engineering will be greatly discounted when it leaves the local world and lacks materials. Chapter 009 Small. Ah. Oh. Kojiro. Writing, and that. I'm not afraid of, the Sunday. And. I'm not afraid of wind and rain. Crunch. There was a burst of smoke from the wheels of the mountain bike, and Chen Mo stopped breathing heavily. Although the blue sky is beautiful, there is no cloud to block the hot weather and it makes people sweaty. He has only run mountain bikes for more than 10 kilometers. If this continues, he will be exhausted before reaching the destination. The card disciple wrist wheel is activated instantly, and it consumes 0.5 points of mental power to activate the wind card. The blast card, a white 1-star card, requires a little mental power to activate once with the strength of the 1-star card as mental power, but with the card's wrist wheel and the white 1-star energy card inside, the mental power consumed can be reduced. Half. There are higher quality card apprentice wrist wheels in big cities, which can transfer more mental energy consumption to energy cards. The wind card in the card apprentice wrist wheel was activated, and the mountain bike was enchanted for half an hour. Firstly, the weight of the car body was reduced a lot, and secondly, it could drive the surrounding airflow to double the speed of the breeze during driving. Of course, this double speed has an upper limit, and the upper limit will not exceed 20 meters per second. This kind of basic enchanting card can speed up ordinary people by twice the speed at most. It was easier to ride this time, and there was a breeze to relieve some of the heat. Chen Mo, who felt that he was alive, finally had a good mood to observe the future world outside the survival base. The outside of the survival base is farmland, and food is the most important no matter when. The farmland is a wilderness, and there is a documentary on the TV station in the survival base. This is when a card master controlled a dragon rock monster card when it was established. He was born in the endless jungle and burned a wasteland. Build a survival base. More than 10 minutes later, Chen Mo approached the jungle and saw one by one remote-controlled and self-driving steam logging machines. Outside the city where electricity fails, steam power is already the cheapest mechanical equipment. As for why remote control autopilots, it is entirely because logging will alarm the poisonous insects hidden in the jungle during the day. The reason why the survival base will close the sky at night to seal the entire city is to prevent all kinds of poisonous insects that appear at night. Fragile ordinary people die more every year from poisonous insects than from monster siege. Chen Mo went far away from the steam logging machine, arrived at the edge of the jungle, folded the mountain bike and walked into the jungle, confirmed that there was no one around, and then activated the talent card of the spiritual mystery and revealed the green leather. Green leather took the mountain bike curiously, observed it and threw it into the businessman's backpack. The structure is so simple and tattered, it has no learning value except for the good design. It is really difficult for the host to even put such a thing in his businessman backpack. Greenskin slandered in his heart and took out a jetpack and handed it to Chen Mo. Chen Mo took the jetpack, and at the same time activated the field first aid kit card. This auxiliary card has 3 purposes. It can realize quick hemostatic bandages, detoxification serum injections and adrenal hormone capsules. It can be said that the 4 white 1-star cards issued by the school along with the card apprentice wrist wheel are the most precious. First realized the detoxification serum injection, and Chen Mo proficiently completed the injection within 1 second. This school teaches how to inject, so that one injection can last for 5 hours, and another injection must be given after 5 hours. During the validity period of the injection, there are no poisonous insects or poisons that can instantly poison the cardans to the survival base. It is very uncomfortable after the injection, because the injection itself is the realization of energy. Is just the process of realizing the energy through special treatment to have a detoxification effect. When the injection takes effect, these energy will also spread throughout the body along the blood vessels, which will have a negative impact on body temperature and accelerated heartbeat in a short time. An increase in body temperature is a lantern in the eyes of many monsters who rely on infrared vision. The heartbeat speeds up, and he will be spotted in the face of many monsters with sharp hearing. When he gets rich, he must buy a special combat uniform for card apprentices. The worst is the one that can keep away the poisonous insects. The combat uniforms dedicated to the card apprentice are not cheap. Many low-level cards have a one-time enchantment effect. If the combat uniform is not made of special fabrics, it will prevent some low-level cards from performing on the card apprentice's body. Enchant directly. Green leather, the glorious task of exploring the path is entrusted to you, and you can reward you with $1 for completing the task. Chen Mo pointed to the front and exclaimed. Greenskin Chundang didn't hear the second half of the sentence, and took out 2 bronze grenades. The physique of 9.9 is enough to make him leap freely on the tree. In addition, the body of the goblin is short enough, and the talented void perception is even more so. Let him have an extraordinary sense of space. Chen Mo chose to wait where he was. He was still very weak, and he couldn't be too careful in the wild. Although he passed the Book of Destiny last night, he saw the future that he had a smooth journey today, arrived at the hunting site safely, and got the prey back to the survival base without any danger. He even invested 200 Destiny points for this modification. Fate. UU reading www.uucananshu.com. But after 10 years, Chen Mo knows that the Book of Destiny is not infallible. He is only a 1-star card disciple now, but he exerts the power of the Destiny book's fur. Back then, the of Destiny was a different world god, and even used the Destiny book to penetrate 2 universes. The horrible existence that controls fate like this is not dead to the gods encircle and suppress. This shows one thing: whoever plays with fate will be played with by fate. God of Destiny, he fell too much because he believed in the Book of Destiny. With the help of the Book of Destiny, he can indeed see his own destiny one day in the future, but what he sees may have an accident the next day, because the fate itself is changeable, and all he sees is the biggest one among the countless possibilities in the future. If his fate the next day involves beings much stronger than him, the future he sees may not be real. Because of the power of the strong, it is enough to interfere with the power of the Destiny Book. This is not because the Destiny Book is not powerful, but because his destiny points and destiny supernatural power are too few. If there is enough power of destiny, even if the future seen by the Book of Destiny is only the most likely one among countless kinds of futures, then with the help of the power of the Book of Destiny to modify destiny, the most likely future can be turned into an absolute future. So in the final analysis, the future seen in the Book of Destiny can only be used as a reference. If he believes completely, if he does not have any doubts at all, he will become the second of fate. Green Leather came back soon. Seeing his relaxed look, he knew that there was no danger around him. He saw the future without errors, but that doesn't mean that he will be careless next time, because even if the future seen by the Destiny Book is correct 1,000,000 times, as long as there is one mistake, it may bring fatal danger. Chapter 010 Swamp Ant Jungle, one of the most famous hunting spots around the GM1989 survival base. This is a forest swamp covering an area of tens of square kilometers. There are countless swamp creatures living here. The swamp ant is the dominant creature here, although the individual strength is not very strong. But the number is conservatively estimated to be around 1 million. Since the establishment of the GM1989 survival base, there have been 3 outbreaks of swamp ants besieging the entire survival base. The swamp ant jungle was once the first forbidden area near the survival base. Provokes a swamp ant here, and will soon face a group of even more swamp ants. It took decades for this situation to change. There was Carto who accidentally discovered that the swamp ants were afraid of the smell of perfume. The swamp ants besieged the city 3 times in a row not because they used humans as food, but because the domestic sewage of the base city was discharged into the swamp and was warmly welcomed by the swamp ants. If the swamp ants are wise, maybe they think that humans invite them to dinner? Since then, the survival base has improved its sewage treatment system, and the swamp ants never leave the swamp ant jungle. Only need a small bottle of perfume, spray a few swamp ants after hunting alone. Other swamp ants will immediately avoid them. Since then, few of the Carto in the survival base have died under the swamp ant's mouth in the swamp ant jungle. Instead, the swamp mire and methane explosion here are more threatening to Carto. Through the spiritual connection, Chen Mo transmits the information of the swamp ant jungle to Greenskin. The main ones are how to avoid the swamp quagmire hidden in the jungle, how to find the swamp ants under the swamp. Although the card disciples of the survival base have summed up a lot of experience and skills and even have instructional videos, they seem to have experience and practical applications. The gap should not be underestimated. If just an ordinary card apprentice, Chen Mo must have a headache now. Even if it is led by an elderly person, it takes a long time to apply the apparent experience in practice. But with the Book of Destiny, all this is not a problem. As early as last night, he had consumed 200 fate points and modified his fate to allow him to encounter swamp ants at a specific location. And it is not an ordinary swamp ant, he will meet a swamp ant queen. An ordinary swamp ant is worth 1,000 yuan. The shell of the swamp ant is a very efficient fuel after special treatment. In addition, formic acid also has a wide range of uses. Each one shrinks to the size of a leather ball. Skilled monster hunters come here. Can earn tens of thousands of yuan in one trip. Within 3 to 5 years at most, the resources owed to the survival base can be paid off. It can also be seen that the gap between carters and ordinary people is that the living materials of ordinary people in the survival base are very cheap. The basic living needs of an ordinary family will not exceed 2,000 yuan a year, and the annual income of a family is 5,000 yuan to 10,000. But a 1-star card apprentice can earn 10,000 yuan a day by hunting swamp ants. At the high-level card disciples, the currency they use is completely different from ordinary people. Chen Mo didn't have 3 to 5 years, so he chose to consume fate points to let him encounter a queen ant. Swamp ants have no natural enemies in the swamp ant jungle. If they hadn't lived for a long time, they would have been flooded. When 2 queens appeared in an ant nest, the one that left would come to the edge of the swamp ant jungle to develop its own colony. GM1989 survival base was established 610 years ago, so far no more than 10 queens have been captured. The value of the queen ant is completely different from that of the ordinary swamp ant. The queen can produce a lord crystal in the body of the ant, which blocks the queen's soul. If it is handed over to the card maker, it can produce precious cards with group summoning effects. Only 1 lord's crystallization is needed, which is enough for him to pay off all his debts and buy a shuttle ticket. Green leather, mine in these places. Chen Mo told Lupi through the spiritual connection of the location of the mine he chose. Green leather took out 2 pieces of iron leather and used the magic of engineering to shape it. The iron leather quickly turned into 2 pairs of iron shoes with oversized soles, and then slowly walked into the swamp on the feet, and quickly placed 5 goblin mines in the swamp. The materials of these goblin mines are very poor and the weight is not small, and they begin to sink a little bit when they fall on the swamp. Slowly leaving the swamp, Lupi handed Chen Mo 10 remote controls. 10. Chen Mo suspiciously took it. The material is too bad, the remote control may not work well. Greenskin laughed. Oh! If your engineering is a purple 1-star, you will definitely not produce such inferior products. Chen Mo said calmly. Lu Pai couldn't laugh anymore, and was speechless when facing the pot that Chen Mo threw over. He is no longer a goblin merchant with a superior civilization, he is just a talent card and a tool. Seeing the silent green leather, Chen Mo knew that green leather had remembered his sadness. But this is exactly what he wants, because the green skins are just cards. For humanoid cards, there are 2 options for card apprentices. The first is to get along with each other and cultivate feelings. If the humanoid cards look good, quite a few card apprentices don't even mind that the humanoid cards fall in love with themselves. There are 10 and 8 novels in which card disciples and humanoid cards fall in love with each other in the bookstore. Although green leather is not ugly, it is far from the human aesthetic standard. What's more, it's still a man. Reading www.yuyugonshu.com is really unnecessary to cultivate feelings. Because he can see that Greenskin has resentment towards humans, but he can't resist his orders, so he is honest. This is normal. His world was conquered by humans, his people were slaughtered, and he himself was made into cards alive to survive, but he could not die. If he still has a good impression on humans, it would be a hell. Since Greenskin was summoned, this goblin has had a bad heart for him. Whether it was when the goblin mine was created in the hut or when he was holding the remote control just now, Greenskin had the idea of pulling him to die together, but he was controlled by the card. Although he thought so, his body would not do it. The talent card is perfectly integrated with the spiritual mystery, and any thoughts in green leather's heart can't be concealed from him. I want green leather to let go of his hatred, it is too difficult to consider. Therefore, we cannot rely on feelings to maintain, but to be kind and entice to benefit. Because from the psychological activities of green leather, he discovered that there is a fatal weakness in green leather's heart. Lupi is very eager for his people to be safe. If he promises to help Lupi regain his hometown one day in the future, let his people get rid of the status of slaves, and then let Greenpick see real hope, then Lupi will surely be even better than the puppy he had raised before. Be obedient. Is the Greenskin convinced? The gap is not small. Although Greenskin's execution of all his orders will not be discounted at all, but if he orders Greenskin to learn engineering and Greenskin to learn card-making skills, Greenskin's body will let him pick up the books, but his mind is not. You can deliberately not study while holding the book. On the contrary, if Greenskin sees hope, he will definitely improve himself desperately.